Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for this very kind introduction and the opportunity to present my work here today to you. Maybe let me just change first. Okay, now I have the pointer as well. Yes, so thank you. Today I wanted to share with you some of our results on exciton-polariton condensates and the anisotropy between their excitations and studying polariton-polariton interactions. So fortunately, Professor Matuszewski just gave us a great introduction into exciton polaritons, which will be also the subject of my study. So you're all now familiar with the concept of these mixed light matter particles, which are interacting bosons and therefore can undergo a lot of collective coherence phenomena such as condensation. We can also optically access all of their properties, which is very useful experimentally. However, one of their features that I would like to highlight here is that among other properties inherited both from the photonic and excitonic components is the spin degree of freedom. So polaritons also have spin, and the interactions between polaritons become spin dependent. We can study this spin, we can study spin, for example, by looking at the polarization of the emitted light. So now when we look into the low density limit of polariton states and consider this spin degree of freedom, we now have two lower polariton states which can be split in energy, and this splitting is wave vector dependent. Moreover, as it couples the polariton spin into its momenta, it's very often referred to as a photonic spin orbit coupling. However, the TETM splitting, as also it's called, it has cylindrical symmetry. One can break this symmetry, for example, by having some kind of cavity anisotropy. So with our microcavity in which we create polaritons, one can have, for example, some kind of birefringence, or due to stress, when anisotropy arises, the symmetry is broken, and now the two lower polariton eigenstates actually are very anisotropic, behave in a different manner in directions either perpendicular or parallel to the anisotropy axis. And as you can see, they actually cross in the direction parallel to the anisotropy axis at a point which is very often referred to as a diabolical point. And this all leads to a very unique and interesting, the whole pseudo spin spin texture in the two-dimensional in-plane momentum space. It looks like this. It can be actually described as a non-abelian gauge field with this unique pattern monopole-like behavior around those diabolical points. And this can be very interesting for some topological physics studies or synthetic gauge field studies as well, to study, for example, analog systems. And this was actually already observed for the low density polaritons in at least two systems. However, this is all in the, as I mentioned, low density limit where no interactions are involved. So now if we go to the high density limit and create a condensate of polaritons. So of course, as you know, even with condensate, not all of the particles needs to be condensed in the ground state. Some are actually excited via either quantum or thermal excitations into higher momenta and higher energies. And they occupied the so-called elementary or collective excitation branches. And these branches were described by Bogolubov for any weakly interacting Bose gas. And he has shown that the dispersions of these branches can serve as a very sensitive probe of particle-particle interactions. We can also study those branches experimentally for polariton systems. It was also shown that even via the photoluminescence measurements, one can cover the strongest emission of the condensate, not to oversaturate the camera, and then look at the much weaker signal of the excitations and observe them experimentally. However, what again now if we consider the spin degree of freedom? So again, it was predicted by theory that the dispersions of these branches again should be anisotropic. So the two eigenstates, two linearly polarized modes of the excitation branches should be anisotropical, now either diffracting or crossing at this point in the directions perpendicular or parallel to the polarization of the condensate. However, what is important, this is without any cavity anisotropy. So why is this? This is only due to the interaction anisotropy between the singlet and triplet states. So simply speaking, polaritons with the same spin interact with each other much more strongly than polaritons with the opposite spin. And this breaks the symmetry and leads to this overall anisotropy. One can, of course, add the birefringence or add some kind of cavity anisotropy on top of that, and that the final arising anisotropy of dispersion branches arise as the interplay of all three of those parameters, and they are governed by all three. However, those crossing points are predicted, but only by theory so far. So this is exactly what we wanted to study and measure, to look at this experimentally. So in order to do that, we've used the standard gallium arsenide based microcavity, which is very often in the exciton polariton field. We've performed a polarization and angle resolved photoluminescence measurements to look at the dispersions, and then crossed through the two-dimensional momentum space, did the scan in order to extract the polariton and the eigenstates in this whole in-plane momentum space. Of course, we started by characterizing the low density polaritons. So here you can see the extracted eigenstate for the low density limit, and here the splitting between those two branches. And as predicted, we did observe this characteristic behavior, this anisotropic. So the birefringence was present in the small birefringence was present in our sample, even though unintended. And here we could use this simple model, which is usually used just to fit our data and extract the relevant parameters, such as birefringence and the TETM splitting. Moreover, we also extracted this pseudospin texture in the two-dimensional momentum space, and indeed observed this characteristic behavior. However, as I mentioned, this was already done experimentally before. What we were interested in was to look at this condensed limit, so create the condensate, and this is exactly what we did. By increasing the power, we created a high density optically trapped by using a circular excitation. We optically trapped condensate, which had a linear polarization. And then again, by actually covering the strongest emission of the condensate in two directions, we were able to look and see at the much weaker signal above the condensate and extract the excitations above it. So because we did this whole scan and look at the whole two-dimensional momentum space, we could then cross our dispersions in the relevant directions and compare them. And of course, by having the polarization resolved measurements, we could directly extract both of the eigenstates directly from the experiments. And here you can see our results. So the points show the eigenstates extracted from our measurements, and maybe it's not so clear in the dispersion graph, but now when you look at the splitting between those states, the energy splitting, you can see that we did observe a clear anisotropy between the two directions, the direction parallel or perpendicular to the polarization of the condensate, and indeed see this predicted behavior. Moreover, we could use this model that I've told you, including all three components, so also the values of the interactions, and fitted our data. As you can see, it fits our data very well. And from this fitting, actually, we were able to extract both of the interactions constants. So again, interaction strengths for polaritons in the same or with the same or the opposite spins. And this is actually quite an achievement for polaritons, as usually only one of them is studied and considered. One is very often neglected. As I've mentioned, it's much weaker, or only the ratio is studied via other measurements. And here we directly extracted both values. Moreover, we've confirmed this very often considered ratio, that one is much stronger than the other. Additionally, because we had those polarization resolved measurements, we could also look at the polarization textures in the linear polarization basis, so either horizontal, vertical, or diagonal, anti-diagonal here. And for both of the eigenstates. And as you can see, they correspond very well to the ones predicted by our model. Used, and by having those in turn, again, we could calculate the whole spin distribution, so the effective magnetic field acting on polaritons, but now in this highly nonlinear regime. And as you can see, we did observe this characteristic non-abelian gauge field, again for polaritons in the condensed state. Unfortunately, the very diabolical points are on the very edges of our detection. As I've mentioned, we had to cover the strongest emission from the K=0 condensate. However, the clear texture is there. And what is important here is that the position of these points is now governed not only by the birefringence and the TE-TM splitting ratio as for the low density polaritons, but it is truly affected by the interactions between polaritons, and it is observed for the first time for the quantum liquid of light, so for the condensed polaritons. So just to conclude my talk here, we've demonstrated, as far as I know, for the first time, this anisotropy between collective excitation in such a spinor exciton polariton condensate. By doing so, we've also measured and were able to extract both the interaction constants, so between polaritons in singlet and triplet states. We confirmed this, that one is much stronger than the other, and on top of that, also extracted the pseudo spin textures for condensed polaritons for the first time. And this can actually be very important for future works on topological physics, on studying and creating, designing synthetic gauge fields, but now including the interactions and creating those gauge fields for quantum fluids of light. And with that, I would like to, of course, thank you to all of the and acknowledge all of the people working and engage in this project. And thank you very much for your attention. Of course, I'm looking forward to any of your questions. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your talk. So we have now time for questions. So, Professor Żążewski.
For years, I'm interested in the statistical properties of the condensate, and with the gases we are dealing with the thermal equilibrium, so that's the whole area of studies. Now, in your case, it's rather dynamical equilibrium. Is it possible, perhaps, to look at the statistics of the occupation of the condensed state in this case?
Yes, this is a very good question, and there is a whole debate in exciton polariton systems and studying various regimes, because as you just mentioned, this is mostly the dissipative state. So this is a non-equilibrium state. However, there are, as far as I know, there are also some works on studying regimes closer to equilibrium and looking at the statistics as well. So either with dissipation or closer to this limit. We were not we are here in the limit of the non-equilibrium. However, I know that we're not interested in this work. However, I know and can refer you to other works where various regimes are studied as well.
Okay, thanks.
So any other questions from the audience? Okay, I don't see, so let's thank Dąbrówka again.
Thank you very much.